FarmRPG, Bellogan here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about some new perks that have just come online. It's the 28th of June 2021. And with that, there's going to be an update to our perk tier list. Ooh, how exciting, more spreadsheets. All right, let's dig into it. So with today's updates, we have a couple things that came out of beta. That's the grubs, minnows, and nets. We did the video on that just a couple days ago and showed how those work. We had a couple things that were added that were in alpha testing as well, though. One of those is a new perk that gives you a % chance to not use resources when you're crafting items. That one is huge, and we're going to do a fair amount of analysis on this. It's called Resource Saver. There is also some notifications when your inventory space is full or when an auto crafting job is done. So those are quality of life fixes, and hopefully will reduce a lot of bug reports if everybody's saying, my auto crafter stopped when their inventory was full. We had that with not only a lot of regular members, but a lot of staff members that should know better. It was still pretty common, so that should save some of that. Also, when you're eating an apple or drinking OJ, you've got the option to do all of them at once. So if you've got a huge orchard, you don't have to click 300 times to eat all your apples or drink your OJs. And then that auto craft alert completed, which is nice. If you're watching when it comes up, frankly, if you're using AutoCrafter, you may or may not be on when it finishes. So probably not as important to some of the other updates, but still a nice quality of life update. All right, let's talk about Resource Saver. So this really is in comparison to the Auto Duplicator perk, but it works just a little bit differently. So there's two of these. One of them you're going to find under your perks, and it's down here at the bottom, Resource Saver 1. It is 10 points to buy, and it gives you a 10% chance that resources aren't consumed during crafting. And as you would expect, the other half of that is at town under farm supply, and it is under Resource Saver 2, and it is 25 gold to unlock, and it gives you an additional 10%. So that really pairs up exactly with the Auto Duplicator. Now you might be thinking both of these give you 20% chance to get an extra item. Are they equivalent? Are they equal? Is one better than the other? And the answer is no, they're not quite the same. They're close, but there's a key difference here. So we are going to do some analysis on this. Now there's a couple assumptions we're making in this analysis. One is that we are making sturdy shields, which means you need to have crafting level 20. Before crafting level 20 comes up, you can't even get the auto crafter anyway. So all of these auto duplicator perks really don't come into play until you're at least crafting level 20. Whereas your resource savers you can use right off the bat. Now the key difference is when auto duplicator kicks in, and say it's making a sturdy shield, on that 20% chance, it's going to make an extra sturdy shield at absolutely no cost to you. And you've got another one that's pumped out. Whereas with Resource Saver, what happens is when you're manually crafting something, there's a chance that it doesn't use the resources. Now, it still takes the silver, that's important to note, but it doesn't use the resources. So a lot like our Wanderer perks that make it so that you don't use your stamina when you're exploring, it gives you a chance that those resources aren't used again, which means you're going to end up potentially with more total materials and things to work with versus the Auto Duplicator that just gives you an extra final product. So if you think about it, the way we're doing this analysis, and let's go ahead and jump over to the spreadsheet. We're assuming you don't have any other perks unlocked here as far as silver selling price or for reduced craft and costing, anything, which realistically, you're probably gonna have some of the negotiator perks. The raw numbers are gonna work out slightly different values, but the ratio should be the same with that. So normally if we start off, and here's our analysis, we're going to stick with 400 boards to make 100 planks just because it's a nice even number. Now for every plank you have to buy 4 nails, and there's 2 silver cost crafting, so it's 6 silver to make a plank. Now if your resource saver kicks in and you get to make another plank, you're only paying that 2 silver cost for crafting it again. You don't have to buy the nails again. Likewise, per shield, the total cost is 566 silver because you've got 500 in crafting costs, 60 for the 6 iron, and 6 for the 6 nails. If Resource Saver kicks in, though, you don't have to buy the materials for 66 silver again, but you do pay an additional 500 silver for the additional crafting cost. So we start off with 400 boards normally, and I did this with a comparator with Negotiator 2, which gives you 10% increase in silver selling price, even though that is 15 points versus 10. So it's actually a little bit more expensive to buy although it's standalone, it's not paired with the other perk from the farm store. So all my numbers here are assuming you got 20%, meaning you spent both the 10 skill points to buy it and the 25 gold to buy that perk. All right, so normally you'd have 400 boards would turn into 100 planks, which would turn into 100 shields. That would sell at the flat rate of 4,000 per shield, 400,000 silver. The cost to make that is 57,200. Your profit would be 342,800 silver. With the Negotiator 2 perk, you get a higher selling price on that by 10%, so your profit goes up to 382,800 silver off those 100 planks. Now, if we were to throw this into the auto duplicator, our 400 boards gets thrown in, and on average, we're going to get 120 planks out of that. So those 120 planks, then we have to pay the cost to make 120 shields. And of those 120 shields, we're going to expect on average about 144 shields to pop out to sell. So selling all of those shields in total, I'm going to get 576,000 silver. My manufacturing cost for that, again, was to manufacture 100 planks and 120 shields, is 68,520 silver, which is going to give me a profit of 507,480 silver. So pretty big jump for the auto duplicator. Now, resource saver, when I have those 400 boards, I go to make 100 planks. And of those 400, well, 20 don't get used, so I get to try them again. Of those 20, again, 20% comes out to like 4 don't get used again. Of those 4, one of them doesn't get used again, so we end up on average 125 planks that come out. Now I have to pay for manufacturing all of these 125. Then with shields, the same thing's going to happen again. I start with 125 of those. What was it, 25 or something, don't use the materials. Of those 25, 5 don't use the materials again. That 5, another one doesn't use the materials. So we're going to end up with a total of 156 shields. Again, I've got to pay the full manufacturing cost for all 156 shields and the full material cost for 125. So 156 shields sold at 4,000 silver each is going to give you 624,000 silver. And my manufacturing costs are quite a bit higher here, 86,300. Hopefully that's right. I might be off by just a little bit here or there, but it should be pretty close. But you'll see my profit came out to 537,700 silver. So I actually came out about 30,000 silver higher. So not a huge number, but it is a noticeable difference between the auto duplicator and the resource saver. Now, a couple notes about these. There are obviously trade-offs. Resource saver you can start using right off the bat at level 1 as soon as you can craft, and it will work for absolutely anything. Auto duplicator, you've got to have crafting level 20, then you have to pay to unlock the auto crafting option. But you can just throw stuff in the into auto crafting and it will run. It will duplicate those perks for you. With resource saver, you have to manually do all of your clicks. And so I've got hundreds and hundreds of more clicks to make all of these shields versus what I got with my auto duplicator. So there is some time investment in there as well. So as far as pure silver, resource saver actually comes out on top on this by a little bit. It is an active process, and so we would expect it to perform a little bit better than something that is a little more hands-off, a little bit more of an automated process or an idle process. So that's comparing the two. Now I kind of gave away how I'm going to put these in my tier list, but let's go ahead and jump to these, my updated tier list. So I'm going to come first to my farm supply list. We've thrown in resource saver and auto duplicator. I am putting that resource saver into tier 1, along with fertilizer and the banker perks for items that you can buy from the farm supply store. And auto duplicator 2, I'm putting in tier 2. And the main reason I'm putting it there is because you do have that requirement of being level 20 in crafting before you can start using it. So you don't need to have it right at the start of the game when you're first beginning, whereas resource saver you can start using right off the bat, and it really isn't that expensive. On my perk tier list, I followed the exact same format here. I've thrown that resource saver in as a tier 1 perk, is a really important one to get right off the bat. 10 points really isn't that expensive. And you saw purely for crafting, it can potentially pay off more than Negotiator. Granted, you're not making those sturdy shields early on. You're making other things like iron cups or regular shields, where the profit margins are going to be significantly less. So you probably still want to get some of these Negotiator perks first, but then pick up resource saver a little bit later, still in that first group. And then auto duplicator comes in at tier 2, again, primarily because you do have that requirement level 20 crafting before you can even build it. So there's a fair amount of resources that you're throwing into it, and to even get your sawmill up and running and everything else before auto duplicator really kicks in. So that's why that comes in as a tier 2. So there you have it, new updates, resource saver, great new skill added to the game, and our updated tier lists. Hopefully you find this useful. Thanks for watching.